What's up YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of January 2023. I guess I decided to start off 2023 with a bang because I had a very eventful life month this past month, and I'll give you some general updates with that as well as, of course, the pickups that I got for the month. So really what this month entailed was I did some work travel for about a couple weeks ago, and got to visit Omaha, Nebraska. I'd only been there once before in my life on a leisure trip, and it was very brief, so it was good to kind of get to explore the area a little bit more. A lot of game stores in that town, even more than I even got to visit, so definitely some potential for future work trips if I get sent back there anytime soon. Got a couple things there I'll show you in the video, and then really I followed up my work trip by a unexpected emergency surgery in the hospital this month, and so that was very interesting, and I had my gallbladder removed, which who knew that was going to become a problem for me at some point. But feeling much better. I'm about a week past the surgery now and recovering nicely, and so far everything's going okay. So that was a nice surprise and definitely threw off the flow of the remainder of my month. However, I didn't stop there. I did some more travel, and no sooner than did I recover from surgery, I was on a plane flying to Pittsburgh to buy a new car, which I drove back over the last couple days. I took it as slow as I possibly could, and visited all the states in between Pennsylvania and Missouri, so I got to hit some record stores as well as a couple game stores along the way also. So yeah, a lot going on, a lot more travel than expected, and a lot of schedule interruptions that also weren't expected this month. But so far everything's going well. So let's see what I got over the course of those travels. Again, not a ton of things, but just some interesting stuff that caught my eye when I was out and about. So we'll start off with something I got from the Omaha trip. This is Gallop Racer for the PS1. And while I'm not a big fan of horse racing, I do kind of respect that this was one of the first horse racing games that we ever got in the United States. I believe the one on Saturn, Winning Post, was actually the predecessor that came out before this, but still pretty early that the Tecmo took a chance on this and put this out on the PS1. Obviously, the Gallop Racer series has grown since then. There's several releases that have come out in the US since then, but this was the first one of these that they took a chance on in the US. So kind of nice to have this. And the main reason I bought this is actually this gets me very close to completing a subset of all the Tecmo games for the PS1. So I think I'm one game away from that. It's nothing really challenging to get, I just need to buy it. And once I have that, I will obviously do a video with a full publisher profile on Tecmo for the PS1, which isn't necessarily my favorite publisher, but they did some pretty cool stuff on the PS1, and definitely some good releases out there worth checking out. So probably will not be playing too much Gallop Racer, but decided it was worth getting. Just not a very expensive purchase, and kind of interesting history behind it. Another thing I got, this was kind of a revisit, one of my local game stores. I think I mentioned in my prior video that I got a game from one of their big trade-ins of a Sega Master System collection. And what was interesting about the collection is it included a lot of the Euro exclusive releases that we didn't get here. And this is yet another one of those. So this is Scramble Spirits, and this is actually a Euro exclusive shooter for the system that was Japanese developed by Sega. I believe it was a Sega arcade game. I've never actually played the arcade version of it, so I can't compare it. But it is kind of a, I don't know, somewhat cutesy shooter, I guess I would say, for the system. It is a vertical scrolling game. You can see a couple of the screenshots on there. They're not very big. And it's pretty decent. It's got a lot of flicker, I think would be my biggest downside to it, but the actual gameplay is reasonably solid. And the game levels are a good length, and the boss battles are okay as well, so nothing too crazy. It's not like an all-time classic shooter by any means, but I think if you want something unique to play for your Master System and you want to tip your toes into the waters of some of the Euro exclusives, this isn't a bad one to go for, and it doesn't really go for a ton either. So I don't know if I'll be buying any more games from that collection. I think some other people have started to go in and grab some things from it. It's definitely come down from what I saw at its peak. But there is some interesting stuff. I'm trying to cut back on just buying stuff to have it. But there is a lot of cool things that, you don't typically see outside of buying online in the store. So if you are looking for Sega Master System exclusives in the U.S., for the U.S. Master System, St. Louis, this store has you covered. So it's nice to see that stuff in stock at an actual location. Another thing I got on the Omaha trip, this was also from the same store I got out there. This was something I knew existed because one of my friends locally has this in his collection, but he didn't really know the history on this, and neither do I, and so maybe if one of you is aware, you can fill this in. But this is a promo disc that was released for the Sega Saturn, and it's actually a music CD in collaboration with SubPop Records, which is one of my all-time favorite record labels. This was kind of in their Sub Pop's not really peak of the 90s period of 1995. A lot of the grunge bands had either moved on from the label, they were kind of in flux as far as what they wanted their sound to be like. And of the bands that are on this, I think the ones that I like the most are Sebado and Pond, but neither of those were like big heavy hitters of the Sub Pop library when you compare it to some of their legacy. So anyways, this was some kind of collaboration with Sega. It's called That Virtua Feeling, Sub Pop and Sega Get Together. Comes in this little gatefold sleeves, got a little bit of bio on each of the bands that are on it, and then it's got a disc just tucked in this little wallet. I don't think it does anything special if you pop it in the Saturn. I can obviously try that out and see, but I think it's really just was intended to be a little music, compendium to add to your Saturn collection. Maybe they figured there was some correlation in the Sub Pop universe with Sega Saturn fans. I don't really know if that's the case. Maybe for me it was. But regardless, it's kind of a neat little promo item, and holds a little extra significance to me because I also like the label too. So very interesting. If you know more about this, please let me know, and maybe I can put it together what that's all about. But I think it's kind of a cool little collection to have. The last couple things I got were upgrades for the NES, and both of these came from my travels as well. This first one of these was actually the only thing I found in the Pittsburgh area. I hit a couple game stores there, but overall I didn't really think they were that impressive. Maybe there were some more that I missed. I only had a day there. But this one I thought was a really cool find. This was a really nice complete copy of Snake's Revenge on the NES. And I already had Metal Gear complete in box with the map for NES, but I never had this one in the box. I just had a cartridge and manual. So this one was really nice. It had all the inserts. It had the baggie inside, the little like precautionary warning leaflets, all that kind of stuff. So whoever owned this kept it in really good shape, and most of the original shrink wrap is still on the box, so it's kind of a nice little bonus there too. Always thought the artwork on this one was pretty cool. Obviously you have Snake there on the cover, all buffed out, and then you can even see in the little background there you have Metal Gear, the robot, hiding in there too. So definitely kind of a cool box art, even though this game isn't necessarily most people's favorite entry in the Metal Gear series. But I do think it's neat that it exists on the NES. And then also just that, Konami was under their limitation of how many games they could publish under their own branding. So I think in Europe they published this as a true Konami release, but here we got it on the secondary tier label of Ultra Games. So maybe they even knew themselves this wasn't really one of their top releases, and they just kind of pushed it out regardless. But very happy to have this. It kind of just goes into the overall Metal Gear lineage, and just a nice release to have with cool box art for the NES. And then the other thing I got was also from my travels. This was from the Omaha trip, and very similar story. Store had a nice complete copy of this. I actually had this one complete in the box, but mine was kind of ratty, so I decided to upgrade because it's one of my favorite superheroes, and that is Wolverine. So this was, I guess the best way to put this game is it's not really a good NES game, but for an LJN NES game, it's probably one of the better ones you can play. So overall, this one is definitely worth checking out if you like the hero and you're interested in seeing how this game plays out on the NES. I guess I would kind of liken the gameplay to Mega Man style, and then the other thing I always thought was interesting is the power-up is hamburgers, of all things, for Wolverine to regain health. The one thing I thought was stupid about this game is that you have to hit, I think, the select button to use his claws, and they drain your health as long as you leave it turned on, so kind of doesn't really fit with the character too much, but regardless, kind of nice. The main reason I wanted to upgrade this, obviously the box and manual were in good condition, but the one thing this copy had that my original one was missing was the original poster. And it's very much like the box art you just saw, but it is a very cool looking poster, I thought. I figure most people that got this back in the day would have hung this up on their wall and it got thrown away or whatever, so very nice to have this to complete my copy of this game. I think I'm getting very close to having all the Marvel NES games, or Marvel character NES games complete in the box. I might be missing like one more or something like that, so it'll be another nice little subset to talk about someday. But ultimately, that's it. Like I said, not a whole lot of things, but definitely some stuff that I wanted for my collection. Again, I'm trying to be much more choosy in what I get in 2023 and beyond. I think my days of bulk buying are behind me, and I'm actually still even considering slimming out some more of my pieces of my collection for some of the systems I just don't play that much, or I'm not going for full sets or whatnot. So that about does it. I'm hoping 2023 February will be a little bit less crazy, and maybe I can stay out of the hospital this coming month, hopefully, as well. But I hope you're all doing well in your own personal health, and thank you very much for watching. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.